call was for reports of screaming inside residence. We figured it was some nitwit teen trespassing. So we got here, front door was ajar, place was empty. Then we found these. That's where when you got here? Yes.
He needs to stay for a couple days.
Ooh, I hear
I need one on.
everybody else.
Was that what it is?
Everybody else. Just mute. Do
Your last day, ain't it?
that. Wonderful. Thank you, I took it. What would you like for lunch?
Look at that.
Fire boy.
Everyone is going. Or the chair beside. You're going to need a marker or two and pass these around. Okay? Yeah, I just So everyone has different coloring preferences.
Finding eventually. He's writing properly, I'll go.
Take them to all the Zoom guys too, or what? People on Zoom, they get markers too?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're here with Crystal Campbell. She is, what is exactly your title? I'm sorry.
Public Contracts Manager.
Okay, Public Contracts Manager with Mazzini and Sullivan, which is our employee assistance program provider. They offer lots of great resources to all employees. At the end of this presentation, Crystal will talk more about that if you're interested in learning more about the benefits of your EAP. But for now, she's going to go over dimensions of wellness, the 8 dimensions of wellness, and how we can all better take care of ourselves. And then we'll break for lunch at 12. And then if you're interested in coming back at 1, we'll be having a session titled Handling Office Gossip. So I'm going to turn it over to Crystal now, and thank you again for your participation.
Thank you, Jessica, for the introduction, and welcome everyone. For those of you that are tuning in on Zoom, I would like to give you a heads up so that you can be prepared for today's presentation. You're going to want to have a notepad handy and a pen. If you do have some markers or highlighters, you could use those as well, but they're not absolutely necessary. It's going to require a little artwork on your part today, and I'll explain in more detail when we get to that part of the presentation. But as Jess said, we are talking about the dimensions of wellness. All we're really doing with this presentation is going through different aspects of well-being, defining them, and then asking you to reflect on that area of well-being in your own life, how well you're doing, and think about goals that you might set for yourself in that area. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Be aware, my presentations always involve open-ended questions and require audience participation. So that means I'm going to be asking you questions. And it would be really great if there weren't crickets and you participated, because I don't really like talking the whole time. And I believe that you have a lot of internal wisdom to share from your own knowledge about wellness, things that work for you over the years, and it really helps other people in the room when you share information. So just be ready for that as well. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the wellness wheel. Okay, on a wellness wheel, we have 8 dimensions: emotional wellness, occupational, intellectual, environmental, financial, social, and physical. So here at MSEAP, we recognize 8 dimensions of wellness, and our services are geared to support our clients in those dimensions. So for those of you here in the audience, you should have a wellness wheel handout and some markers handy. If you are tuning in on Zoom, you will need to draw this or something like it. It doesn't have to be pretty, on a notepad where you just have a wheel. It's divided into 8 sections for each of the dimensions of wellness. And then the lines are just a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 is in the center, 10 is on the outside. And we're just going to be rating ourselves in each one of these areas as we go through the presentation today. So before I move on, just to give folks some time to draw this for themselves, I want to ask the audience here, has anyone ever done this before, a wellness wheel? Some, are you familiar with it? Yeah. It's not a new thing. I tend to think of it like a wellness audit. That's how my brain works, where you just take time at different moments in your life to check in with yourself and think about how well you're doing in certain areas of your life. Identify areas that need improvement and make a plan to work on those goals. So looking at the wheel, we're going to start with emotional wellness. So you can locate on the wheel your emotional wellness section. You might grab a marker. Emotional wellness involves developing an awareness of your feelings and your response to everyday interactions. This awareness allows you to better understand why you're feeling that way so that you can actively respond to your feelings. So when you think about emotional wellness, you reflect on your life, how would you rate your emotional wellness? Just think about that number on a scale of 1 to 10. It's completely subjective. You know, how satisfied are you in that area of your life? And then you'll just color in the wheel wherever you think you are. Is this the traveling mic? This one, Ken? Okay.
And good.
10 is like you are a rock star, no improvement needed. I'm doing amazing. 1 is like not good at all, right? And I think you're going to see as we progress through the wheel that most of these things are interconnected, right? On the diagram, they're kind of sectioned off in their own little slices of the pie, but really all of them relate to one another and affect one another. So now I'm going to turn it over to audience participation. What are some things that you already do really well to support your emotional wellness? What was that? Hobbies. Other ideas?
Music.
Music. Yeah. Fishing. Oh, yes. Anything else? Take a vacation. Exercise. Yep.
And
It has its place. Yep. Venting has its place. It's so, if you know, there's a lot of things that you can do to support your emotional wellness, things I hope that you are doing in that area. Is anyone vulnerable enough to share something that they maybe aren't doing right now but would like to do or get back to doing to support their emotional wellness? Exercise. Oh, yeah. Retiring. Oh, yeah. That probably is going to benefit every dimension of wellness, hopefully. Even just taking quiet time to yourself, having time to reflect, setting boundaries. Maybe you need time away. Here at work, sleep pods, maybe. Maybe. Are they able to chat on Zoom? Are we getting any answers there? No? All right, we're going to move on to the next dimension. So we're going to move on to spiritual wellness. You want to locate that on your wheel. Spiritual wellness allows you to be in tune with your inner self. This realm of wellness lets you find meaning in life events and define your individual purpose. Spirituality can stem from beliefs, faith, values, ethics, or moral principles that provide purpose and direction. A healthy spirit helps us remain resilient and better prepared to face life's challenges. So, again, take a moment to reflect on your spiritual wellness. How satisfied are you with that area of your life? And give yourself a rating on that scale of 1 to 10. And then I'm throwing it back to you again. What are some things that you can do to support spiritual wellness? On emotional, yeah. Okay, give grace to God and pray. So thank you for that answer on Zoom. Any, read the Bible? Talk with family? It could be, absolutely. For some folks, it can be a spiritual experience to get out in nature. Bible study, yep. Spiritual music, meditation, yeah. Walking. Could be volunteering, supporting those in need, giving. All great examples. So we're going to move on to physical wellness. This is an area that a lot of people kind of more immediately think of when they hear the word wellness. Physical wellness is the ability to maintain a quality of life that allows you to get the most out of your daily activities without undue fatigue or physical stress. Our daily habits and behaviors have an impact on our overall health, well-being, and quality of life. So thinking about your physical wellness, your movement, your nutrition, how long has it been since you've been to the doctor? Things like that. Give yourself a rating on your wellness wheel, fill it in. How satisfied are you in that area? What are some things that you do or could do to support physical wellness? Oh, yeah, stay away from processed foods. Did they say it on Zoom too? Yes, absolutely. Walk. Sleep. Yeah. 7 to 9 hours is the recommendation. How well are we doing with that? A lot of things impact sleep. Stress is a big one. So if you're looking for better sleep, it could be taking a look at your stress level. Could be taking a look at your sleep environment, the quality of that. Do you have a good routine to wind down your mind? And is your room dark? How is the temperature? Things like that. Okay, exercise, no alcohol, or maybe it's just a matter of cutting back. Maybe your relationship with alcohol or something else is not looking so great. And it's just a matter of changing that relationship, cutting back. Oh, yeah. It does change with age. I feel like being able to get quality sleep. At least that's been my experience. All right, great answers. Thank you for your willingness to participate. We're going to move on to social wellness. So I'm sure you can already hear in the answers that we're sharing how there's a lot of overlap in these dimensions and the things that you can do to support them. Social wellness focuses on building and nurturing meaningful and supportive relationships with individuals, groups, and communities. It enables you to create boundaries that encourage communication, trust, and conflict management. So if you haven't already, find that section on your wellness wheel, fill it in, give yourself a rating of 1 to 10. And again, here I'm looking for some input. How can you nurture social wellness? Volunteer? Coaching? Is that what I got? Okay. Ooh, I love that. Less screen time. I feel like that's on the news every day, how it's changing our lives and our wellness. Don't watch the news. Yeah, social wellness could be setting boundaries around socializing. You have to know what kinds of interactions energize you, what kind of interactions drain you, and then set boundaries around that. Sometimes it's not about being more social or doing more. It may be asking yourself, do I need to say yes to this or be at everything or set boundaries with a certain person in my life? Communicating face to face, hands-on teamwork. So you're actually together doing things. Yeah. All great answers. I think we're going to move on to financial wellness. Financial wellness involves the process of learning how to successfully manage financial expenses. Money plays a critical role in our lives and it can impact your health. It involves income, debt, savings, and a person's understanding of financial processes and resources. So when you are reflecting on financial wellness, give yourself a rating on your wellness wheel. And then I want to hear some things that you do or could do to support financial wellness. Have a budget. 2 jobs. It does take that sometimes. Having a plan, planning for the future. Yeah. Having a savings, a safety net. What about educating yourself? Or maybe meeting with a financial advisor to expand your knowledge in that area or consult with on things that are kind of outside of your comfort zone. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer that question.
Because I have change on the, I leave change on the.
They
I
don't.
only care about dollar.
If you do see a penny, because it is worth more than 1 cent, right? I think, yeah, you're winning there. But then, I guess you just have to like turn it in for copper because no, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. If you're a collector, maybe. So, so you're feeling financial advisors try to suggest cuts, and that is positive or frustrating? Okay, they're too strict in their suggestions. Interesting. Yeah. Perhaps. And I'm wondering if you could tell that to them and that they would work with you on something that's more in line with your goal. Or take from it what you want and go from there. Right? Save, invest, don't live above your means. Yeah. So we're going to move on to occupational wellness. Occupational wellness allows you to explore various career options and encourages you to pursue the opportunities you enjoy the most. This dimension of well-being recognizes the importance of satisfaction, enrichment, and meaning through work. So filling in your wellness wheel, if you haven't already, on your scale of 1 to 10. So what could support occupational wellness? Perhaps a new job, a promotion, yeah, lifelong learning, taking classes, sharpening your skills, even if they're not going to maybe impact the current position that you're in, you can always be setting yourself up for the future. Yeah, explore all options. Maybe just get curious and really dig into what else is out there. I definitely early on in my career had a very limited view of what I would do, right? And wouldn't do. And as time goes on and you learn more about what's out there and what you need to do to live, you start to open your mind up to maybe more options and stop thinking about, you get sometimes out of college with this degree and it's like, this is what I have to do. But really, you can do a lot of different things. And it just takes time of digging in, learning about your options, getting to know your strengths. It could even just be developing positive relationships with your coworkers. It could be maybe joining a committee or I don't know if you have affinity groups or clubs or different things for people to get involved in, like safety committee or things like that. Yeah, so picnics, task forces, engagement events, just being involved, being encouraging and supportive. Absolutely. All right, moving on. Intellectual wellness. So you can fill in your wheel. How satisfied are you with your intellectual wellness? This area encourages us to engage in creative and mentally stimulating activities, and it requires lifelong learning and curiosity. Intellectual wellness can be developed through academics, cultural involvement, community involvement, and personal hobbies. How are you supporting your intellectual wellness? So taking a stance on something important to you. Oh, a stab. Sorry, I cannot hear. A stab at something new, trying something you haven't tried before. Yeah. Yeah, we tend to stick to our comfort zones and do things we like and that are familiar, but you having new experiences is what helps your brain develop. Having a work-life balance. New hobbies, yep. It could be reading, engaging in intellectual conversations. Listening to others. It could be puzzles and hobbies. You said trivia groups? Oh, yeah. Intellectual wellness can be fun. It doesn't have to be all college classes. So it can be a lot of fun. It's just staying out there, staying engaged, trying new things, making music. Knitting? Is that what you said? Okay. I think that is a big stress reliever for people that do it. Yeah. All right, we're on our last dimension, environmental wellness, which refers to leading a lifestyle that values the relationship between ourselves, our community, and the environment. The core principle of environmental wellness is respect. Respect for all of nature and all species living in it. So you can rate yourself on your wellness wheel. And what are things that you could do to support environmental wellness? It could be having a garden.
Highway.
Recycling. What was that? Oh, picking up stuff on the highway. Yeah. Thrifting. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Donating things. Yes. Thrift shopping. Yeah. Repurposing. The power of nature, keeping that in mind. Absolutely. It's really just about maintaining a stimulating and pleasant environment. So it can include things like decluttering your home, cutting down on noise pollution, light pollution, things like that. Could be thinking about the quality of your water. So by now, you should have your wellness wheel filled out. And it probably looks funky, right? Like not a completely well-rounded wheel. I'd say that's normal. And I'm not sure that the goal is really to be a 10 in all of the areas. It's more just about reflecting on where you currently are. And if you flip over to the back, your homework is going to be to fill in those follow-up questions. So what I'm asking you to do is to maybe pick an area or two on your wellness wheel that you want to improve. Think about what's really calling for your attention right now. Think about what actions you might take to improve that area, maybe even just 2 numbers on your wheel. So if you gave yourself a 6 in physical wellness, what would it take to get you to an 8? What does that look like? If it is something like exercise, get real specific about what that is. Just saying, oh yeah, I want to exercise more is not going to get you there. Got to get real specific about what am I doing? How am I going to do it? When will I know when I'm successful? So think about that SMART goal method. You want to be specific. Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? And is it time bound? When do you envision success? Because there are a lot of things I'd like to do with my wellness, but realistically, I'm not going to do them all. And so it's really helpful to just zero in on 1 or 2 things that you could start doing in the next week or month. And you might need to think about accountability. When am I going to check in with myself? How might I reward myself if I meet my goal? Things like that. So you can reflect more on that as homework. I'm going to move on now to talk about the EAP. So we started the presentation by saying, I'm Crystal Campbell from M&S EAP. Okay, what is that? It's a lot of letters. M and S means Mazzetti and Sullivan. Those are the founders of our EAP, which is Employee Assistance Program. And that is one of the benefits that you have here in the county. And the reason this benefit really ties into, oh no, what happened? There we go. It really ties into the 8 dimensions of wellness because you can think of EAP as a wellness benefit. It may be a tool or a resource to support you in a dimension of wellness, depending on where you're looking for improvement. It's an employer-sponsored benefit. It provides free counseling, coaching, consulting services. We have mental health counseling, life coaches, health coaches, legal, financial, and elder care consults. It is something every employee has access to from day 1 of employment. It is something that you don't have to enroll in every year. You just already have it. And members of your household can also take advantage of the benefit. So that literally means anyone living in your home, if they have something going on where the EAP could be helpful, they can contact us as well. So I have this really big chart, and it's not so important that you read everything that's on it and memorize it. It's more there for me to explain just how many different things that the EAP can support. I did bring some information along with me that you are welcome to pick up about and take home about the EAP. But you can also access all of the information about your benefit in our portal, which I'll show you later in the presentation where you can find it. But basically, we have 4 core services. So if you look at the top row, I'm going to start with the counseling column. You can use the EAP for counseling, coaching. So all of that is in this first column. Anything that you have going on in your life where you're feeling like you need to, maybe it's time to talk to a counselor, something maybe impacting your health, your wellness, your relationships, your work life, impacting you in a way you don't like, and maybe it's time to talk to somebody. You can have 4 free counseling sessions. It might be stress management. It might be substance abuse related. It might be that you want to work with a life coach on your time management skills. It might be that someone in your home could benefit from counseling. Could be that you want couples counseling. So those are the types of things you can use your EAP sessions for. You can meet with a health coach. Maybe you want to work on a healthy lifestyle of how to get some movement and exercise back into your life or making changes to your eating plan. Those are things you can work with a health coach on. Elder care. So whether it's for you or someone you're giving care to in your life, you can ask for a referral to our elder care resource. Maybe you have some questions about getting mom into a retirement community or navigating Medicare or setting up transportation and meals services for dad. Things like that. Anything related to aging and wellness, you can consult with our elder care providers. We have some legal resources as well. You can have a free legal consult on any legal topic. Let's say you have some basic questions about maybe you want to get a divorce or you think things might be headed that way and you have some basic questions for a lawyer. This is the kind of thing you could have a consult for free for 30 minutes. Maybe you need help setting up a will. Maybe you're having a landlord-tenant dispute, things like that. Those are the kinds of topics listed here that you could have a consult for. Maybe you think you've been a victim of identity theft and don't know where to begin. If you continue with any type of legal service, there's a 25% discount after the consult. You'll also have access to a whole bunch of legal forms on the portal, which I'll show you later in the presentation. Legal forms they're organized by state, so you'll be able to go to the state that you live in and look for, maybe you need a template for a will, for example. You can find all sorts of legal forms in there. And then financial resources you can have. Go ahead. The legal consult? Good question. The question was, how many times can you utilize that? So counseling, coaching, and elder care, they're kind of in the same bucket. They pull from those 4 sessions. Legal and financial are different. Legal, you can have a free legal consult per legal topic. So it's not 4 sessions. And then you would, if you want to move forward, they'd give you a discount. If a few months go by, you could call the EAP back and get another one. But it's not that you're going to get 4 continuous sessions, if that makes sense. Financial kind of works a little differently too. Financial is all virtual and telephonic coaching, but it is unlimited. So if you contact us because you're looking for some financial wellness coaching on maybe debt management, you would work with that wellness coach through to the end of your goal. So that's really up to you and the coach and the goals that you discuss. Our financial resource does not loan money, so it's not that type of financial resource, but they are coaches. They're there to guide you towards your goal, give you resources. They also have a lot of webinars, calculators, and online tools. So it could be first-time home buying, student loan counseling, budgeting, maybe navigating unemployment or debt, things like that. So this chart continues on, just explaining here a lot of the things that we already discussed. You have 4 sessions for counseling, coaching, and elder care. Something I want to explain about the counseling is we're really just the EAP. You can call us 24/7. So, if you're in a situation where you're in a more urgent distress, emotional distress, feeling like you need to talk to somebody right away, you can have immediate telephonic support. And you can have that as much as you need until you would get scheduled with an outpatient provider. If someone in your home needs to talk to somebody right away, you can call the EAP. We have access to master's level counselors that you can talk with. Any other questions before I move on from here? Good catch. Yeah. Exactly. So the question was about the renewable after 2 months. You decide you want to see a counselor, you schedule with them, you have 4 sessions. Then what? You can decide to continue with them on your health plan if you want. You can stop. You can take a break. You can contact the EAP 2 months later and get a new referral. So it just means you have to take a 2-month break between the counseling referrals. If you do decide to call us back in 2 months, it could be for the same reason with the same provider, or it could be for something completely different. It's really up to you how you want to use it, but it actually amounts to 12 sessions a year if you were to use it in that fashion. And that applies to you, and every individual in your household each has that much access. Household means if they live in your home. They don't have to be a dependent. They don't have to be a spouse. They don't have to, they can be a minor. They don't have to be on any other benefits. So it doesn't matter if they're on your health plan or anything like that. Because we know that your home life can impact your work life and vice versa. So that's really what an EAP is. It is a benefit that supports productivity and well-being, because we know that issues in the home affect the workplace, and sometimes things that happen at work affect your well-being and your life outside of work. And so it's really a wellness tool to keep you working, to keep you well and keep you productive. Are there any other questions before I move on? What's that? How long have you had this? I don't know. A while. A while. Okay, over 5 years. Yeah. A lot of times, people learn about the EAP early on, like when they first get hired. And if something's not coming up for you in your life at that moment, you just don't think about it, or you don't remember that you have it. And a lot of times you're kind of inundated with information, right? When at open enrollment, or when you're having employee orientation. So it is hard to remember all the things you have access to, but so that's why I'm here today, to tell you about it, remind you that you have it. If you're a supervisor, especially, I'd recommend putting the number in your phone or putting the website on your home screen, because you may have to nudge employees to contact the EAP because you care and you know they have something going on. Or you may want to call the EAP. We support supervisors as well. Maybe you're navigating a challenging situation with an employee and just want a confidential listening ear to talk to about it. You can call the EAP. It's going to be much easier to access the benefit if you have the information at your fingertips in a convenient place. Maybe you hang the flyer somewhere, put it in the break room, have it by your desk. I know HR has it as well. So I just recommend keeping the information handy for that time when you do need it. Oh, I must not have that in the presentation like I thought I did. Well, I'll just talk through it. If you go to mseap.com, you can go to, there's an orange button on the upper right that says Work Life. You click that. You will enter the code JCWV. That takes you into our portal. That's where you can access all the things I just said. If you forget everything I just said about the benefit, it's all right there. You can access all kinds of free webinars, trainings. There are personal development webinars. There are professional development webinars. Maybe you want some tips on conflict management. There's things in there for that. That's where you can access the legal forums under the legal tile. So that portal is a free and really beneficial resource for you. On the website, you can also request help through the website. So maybe you're wanting to use your 4 EAP sessions. You can either call or you can do a form online. We just ask you some basic information, name, address, date of birth, where do you work, to verify your eligibility. And we ask you to tell us a little about what you're looking for. Maybe you are having some couples counseling, and maybe you would prefer to have in-person visits with a faith-based provider. You know, any preferences that you have, you would let us know. And what we do is we look for providers that sort of match what you're looking for. We make recommendation, you contact them to schedule, we send them the referral for the free sessions. JCWV, and it actually is on this flyer somewhere in really tiny font, but it's on there, and the QR code to the website. Thank you. Sure. We are getting there. Yes, but that is very important. That's the number one question. Employees want to know that it's confidential. When you call the EAP, we are not sharing with your employer that you called, why you called, anything like that. Any sessions you have, I'm doing this from memory. That's why I'm pausing and looking up. It's in my brain, and I have a very visual mind. And So when I do these things where I look up to the right, I learned if you watch someone's eye directions, it tells you which part of the brain they're accessing. And I've watched myself on video and it's always the upper right. And I figured out it's because it's the visual part of my brain. Um, so that's just a little fascinating side note if you're nerdy like me and want to look into that. But people want to know that what they're discussing with the EAP is not going to be, used against them or shared with their employer. It is a confidential service. There are some exceptions to that confidentiality. It could be, we are mandated reporters. So if there's any reported child abuse, we have to report it. Court order, threat of harm to self or others may be situations that we have to break confidentiality. Any session notes that the provider takes in their counseling with you, EAP doesn't have access to it. EAP staff we're a referral source. We aren't counselors ourselves. We are trained in mental health first aid, active listening, things like that. But we are a referral source. We're directing you to a more appropriate resource for your request. And EAP is voluntary. A supervisor, coworker, family member might nudge you to contact the EAP because they care and they know you have something going on and might benefit from it, but it's really up to you whether or not you want to call, whether or not you want to follow through with any of the recommendations that are made to you, whether or not you want to follow through with anything the counselor says. So it is really a voluntary resource for you to use as it makes sense for you and your goals. Yeah, so we covered that, the confidential. Oh, I just did these out of order. This is the website. I put them out of order. Something went wrong with my cut and paste. This is the website. This is that orange work life button. This is your code. You get into these tiles where you can learn more about the benefit. We've got newsletters. We've got a 6-minute video about the EAP in there. This is a screenshot from the trainings and webinars tile, just to give you an idea of the types of topics that are in there. These are on-demand, pre-recorded trainings. It can be things like respect at work, balancing work life and family, leadership basics, things like that. I think that concludes my presentation. So I'm just going to pause and see if there are any questions from the Zoom group. Nope, it's all quiet there. Well, oh, thank you. Yeah, if you think of any questions later, you can contact the EAP, go on the website, reach out to HR, and we'll take it from there. Thank you for being here with me today. I would like my markers back, but you can keep your wellness wheel. I also have these green pens you can keep. You're all welcome to take one. They write very well. And I also have some flyers about the EAP up here that you're welcome to pick up. So thank you. Have a good lunch. Yeah.
Oh, you got an email right now. Hour down, baby.